Hey guys, of course, it's Sunday, and at Sunday, 7 o'clock, it's me, Miss Amanda Miller, talks to on Talk.Queens. Guys, make sure that you have downloaded the mobile app to the App Store. Um, Hold tight, I am going to try to do this. Hey JP, JLP, go ahead and see. Let's see if we can do the invite. See if you see it on your end. And then I'm going to see if I can do it on my end. So you should be getting it soon. And so if you accept the invite that I just sent you, we will shortly be getting started. But guys, as I was mentioning, make sure you download the 105.7 The Face mobile app. Make sure you are following me on Talk.Queens. Hey, can you see me?
I can see you. Can you hear me?
Wonderful. I can. So give me a second. So guys, make sure you download the 105.7 The Face mobile app. Make sure you're following me on Talk.Queens each and every Sunday at 7. Make sure you're also following me on Amanda Miller Talks 2, Facebook, Tuesday, 7 o'clock as well. And so today, guys, you guys know on Sundays, mostly I have the artist interviews. And today we have the Mr. Javar Parker. I am so glad that we was able to get this date worked out.
You were trying so hard. We were doing it.
That's right. Hey, we here to make it happen,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And so thank you for being patient with me and the show and everything so that we can get you on. But also too wanted to definitely ask you about before we get started. I'm gonna ask you about I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, but I want to ask you about what I saw on your page so that I can congratulate you. So was the paying off the student loan
Oh,
was it because I know you do acting, so that's why I wanted to ask, was it part of your acting skit, or was it
oh,
truly you paying?
oh, no. That is real life.
Congratulations to you! Oh my goodness, yes,
You,
congrats.
thank you. Like since student loans is such a big debate in the world right now, and like they're just trying to be financially free,
That's
and they're
right.
just debt and stress and money that I don't need to be paying to the government or anybody else. But we've been working to try to really just get those loans paid off. So it's a blessing to be able to say that it's done
It's done.
out of my life.
Right.
No more school.
I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. This is wonderful for you. And so definitely wanted to acknowledge that before we got started. And so um, you are welcome. So let's just tell these people about who you are. Um, let's start out with where are you from? Although I read your bio, I know I want my audience to be able to follow that as well.
Oh, sure, yeah. So my name is Javar Parker. If I'm on stage, it's Javar Latrell Parker. It's my stage name. But uh, no, I'm originally from Ohio. I grew up in Ohio, a little small city called Mansfield. Have you ever seen Shawshank Redemption?
I have. Yes.
That is my hometown. The whole movie was filmed there. So I could tell you
Oh,
anything you want
right.
to know about that film. But that's how I grew up. And just growing up, I grew up singing since I was like 5 years old. Started playing piano when I was like 7 or 8 years old. Taught myself how to play piano and organ. Played in church. All that. Was a church boy. Did all that stuff. Um, yeah, and I just grew up singing, and then eventually found the stage in high school. Didn't know what theater was really because it wasn't a big thing in my hometown um, early on. But then I just kind of fell in love with theater and pursued theater and music in school, and luckily that's been taking me all over the world, which has been my career has been a long one. And I'm not as, of course, like you always wish you were bigger, but like, I'm just glad to have a career that's been able to
That's
sustain for
right.
20 something.
It's all about sustainability, right? And so that's awesome. How long have you Well, do you live? Where do you live now? Let me ask that.
Yeah, so no, currently, so I've been a journeyman. I've lived all over. Currently, I'm based in
Oh,
Atlanta.
light. No, this light has got me really sweating. I was encouraged to get a ring light, and now this ring light has me burning
Hey,
up.
but you look like you're glowing though.
What? Well, thank you. Okay, and so you say you are. Do you live here, Georgia?
Yeah, I'm currently based in Atlanta, Georgia now. So
Okay.
here, I feel like I'm new in Atlanta because um, I moved here right during in the middle of the pandemic. So that first year was like non-existent for me. I barely left my apartment that first year, but then so I've been here total for 3.5 years now. But before that, I lived in London for 5 years, and I lived in New York City for 8 years before that. So I've been when I say it's taking me over the world, I've been a lot of places.
Well, let me ask you this: how was London for your career, for your music and your acting career? How was that for you?
London was the best thing that ever happened to me. When I lived in New York City, I was doing okay, and I was starting to really make my name for myself with casting directors and agents and stuff in New York. And I was getting called in for projects, getting so close to a lot of Broadway stuff, which is what my career started as, like being a Broadway stage actor. But then when I moved to London, that's kind of where my career kind of really took off. Within 6 months of being in London, I was on the West End, which, if you don't know, it's like the Broadway of Europe, pretty much.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so I did my first West End show within 6 months of living there, and then just kind of everything just kind of snowballed from there. Um, did several shows, did a tour, really whole high-profile national tour there with the musical Rent, which was amazing. Got to play one of the leads in that, and then it's just been good. It's been and then TV and films kind of crept in there towards the end of my time in London, but music's always been a part of that journey. Regardless, I've been writing and singing since I was little, and that's always been a part of who I am in my journey.
Wonderful. I know you stated that you've been doing music since you were 10. Were you always really in, was that always your passion? Or along the way, did it just really become your passion more so at a certain point than another?
No, it's always been
Okay.
a part of it because like sometimes you find kids who from early age that kid's gonna be a chef. That boy's always in the kitchen cooking. That boy's gonna be this, that. That's how I was. I had my mom bought me one of those little fake toy keyboards when I was a kid, and I would sit at it for hours. And I would go to church on Sunday, and I would hear what the organist was playing, and I would come home and try to do that on my little toy keyboard, which I could never do it. But I always tried. It's just always been a part of who I am. Music has always been my identity.
So, yes or no? I read in your bio that I know that Usher, Brian McKnight, there's one other person that it inspires your music. Um, yes or no? Tell us a little bit about that, and let's talk about that
Oh
song.
yeah, no. Yes or no? Well, John Legend is like
That's it, John Legend. Don't want to forget out, not leave out John Legend. Absolutely.
the once again album that his very first album was my freshman year of college.
Okay.
Kind of dating myself, I feel like, but that inspired me so much. When I heard his voice, I was like, that's the music identity that I've been searching for as an artist. Like I love like Usher and I love like a lot of those R&B artists of the 90s and 2000s. That influences a lot of my sound. But when I heard John Legend, that kind of put everything together for me and my music, how the direction I kind of want to go. And that's when Yes or No kind of fits in that vein as well too, where it's like it's kind of a combination of a lot of those sounds. Just stuff I used to listen to on the radio growing up, and I would sit in the car and like it's just it's kind of a good throwback. Um, yeah, I wrote it out of a heartbreak, um, that's where kind of Yes or No. Well, it wasn't a heartbreak. It's just one of those things where like I think we all can relate to is that we're like, do you want me or not? Is
Right.
what is
Absolutely. What we doing?
what what is going on? Like just take this.
Right.
I can move on with my life, and we can, or yes, we can let's move on happily ever after. So that's where Yes or No kind of came out of, and then somebody was like just messing around with me and just kind of like I was like, yes or no, what are we doing?
Right. And like you stated, I think we all can relate to a situation like that, whether it's, hey, is it yes, is it no? What are we doing at this point? Um, do a lot of your music come from experiences?
Yes, or either experiences or stuff that I try to reflect that I've seen in the world or something that's really bothering me. Because I don't just I don't just write music just to write
Right.
music. I write music with a purpose because I want it to be like something that either people can connect to or it's something that's really been on my mind. Like right after the George Floyd, I was we were quarantined in Virginia Beach with my in-laws, and I wrote a song called uh, um, Oh, Matt's called Matches, and I wrote it for George Floyd. I'm basically saying that George Floyd, you'll be the match, we'll be the flame that carries the torch to a brighter. Because I had to write that song. I was so moved to write it. So that's what I kind of like. So I want to write songs that either people connect to, or just something that I'm feeling in the moment, or something that has a message to the world.
What's the hottest track that you have out right now that you yourself, if you had to look at your songs, would it be yes or no, or is it something else that you think would be the hottest track
No,
for you?
I no. So that's a very good question because I love hearing feedback from people who listen to my music and fans and people who comment on it and like what they connect to.
Okay.
Me personally, the one that my go-to, and I have a lot of good music. I hope people go check out my Spotify, Javar Parker on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere music is streaming, it's there. Also, check out the music video for Yes or No that I have out too, if you have that not. But I think the song that I go to is one or two songs. One of them is called Casio. It's like my really first single that I kind of put out when I really started to like, take it seriously. And that's on my first album. And then another song it's called City Wolf that I wrote on the part two of that same album. Those are my two go-to that I'm like, yeah, this is
So
yeah.
tell me why. Why those two?
Casio again, it's just like one of those kind of and actually I don't know if you can have my keyboard here. So it's just like can you hear my keyboard? So I just like it's just one of those like it's just like a nice little jam, and yeah, and it's just like, you know, the lyrics. I think lyrics here is a little bit mixture of like rap and hip hop and R&B and a little bit of soul. It's a great combination of a lot of styles that I reflect who I am basically. City Wolf, again, one of those songs I kind of wrote with a message. It actually started off as a joke. Uh, my partner, he plays a lot of Fortnite, and there was this wolf character in Fortnite, and I was like, I'm gonna write a song about that wolf in Fortnite.
Oh
He's
my
like,
goodness.
I bet you can't do it. I was like, I bet I can. So I wrote it, and it turned out to be, and I was like, I didn't know what it was gonna be, and it turned out to be a song just talking about like trans rights, and a lot of the trans, especially black trans people, were getting assaulted and murdered. So it kind of turned out to be a message about that. It just like, you know, let them live their truth, and like they're going to, you know, rule the day. So that's kind of what City Wolf kind of came to. But then I listened to the jam. It's so much fun. It's definitely a club anthem type of song. So it would definitely have you dancing and moving and everything.
I, I love the keyboard sound. Amazing. We'll get you to do a little bit more of that before we close out. But I want to ask you about this. You just mentioned your partner, but in your bio, you also mentioned LGBTQ. Um, do you think that any of that community, being part of the community, impacts people embracing to your music, or do you think that we've come out of that stage where people gravitate to just good music no matter your lifestyle?
That is the part that, yes, the second part of that, because I struggled. When I first, I mean, like I said, I've been writing music since I was, you know, young and really little. I wrote my first album when I was in high school, recorded in New York, and I probably wouldn't play it again because it was bad. But I wrote it. But I wrote it hiding who I was and not being my true
Okay.
self. And because I thought that in order to get ahead, that's what I had to do, and that's what people had to do in order to, they had to, you know, they can't live truthfully. And so when I write my music now, I write it from the standpoint that again, everyone can connect to it. It doesn't matter if it's between two guys, two girls, two, whoever. It is love. Anger is anger. Whether you're angry, like, all those feelings
Right.
are universal.
Absolutely. I love it. Great, great, great answer. So, if you were able to open up, and of course, we talked about who some of the people are that inspires your music. If you could open up for anyone, and it may be those three, one of those three. If not, that's fine too. Who would you love to open up for?
And John is at the top of that list, for sure. Uh, but see, I'm such an old soul, and I know that. Like Anita Baker is like another one of my favorite, like,
Yeah.
all time, influences as well too. Just how smooth as she runs through her music, her notes, and like that's something I try to emulate in my music as well too. So um, if I had somebody newer and somebody a little more classic, I think it would be those two for sure.
Wonderful. Shamar, thank you. I always have good guests and ask great questions. So thank you for that comment. Guys, if you guys have any questions for Javar, please drop it in the
Bring
chat.
them.
We'll ask those questions and get an answer for you. Definitely, as people come on, I'm going to double back and let you advise where they can find your music, and then we'll continue on.
Absolutely.
So you want to go ahead and
Oh,
tell them now for those that probably wasn't on here?
yeah. So again, my name is Javar Parker. Please check me out on any music streaming platform: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Vivo Music, with Javar Parker, Javar Parker. All my songs are there. I have a couple music videos out, one for Yes or No, and one for my song I wrote, Sail On, for my mother, a couple years ago. And that's also out as well too. So please check all that out, and leave me comments, leave me messages, notes, everything. Let me know.
So hey, let's talk about the song you wrote for your mother. Let's get into that. We talked about the yes or no was mainly based upon a situation, relationship. Hey, we're trying to figure out what are we doing? Is it yes with us? Is it no for us? But let's talk about the song you wrote for your mom. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's called Sail On Twilight, and actually be the 2-year anniversary of it coming up on the 29th, my birthday. Um, it's so, and it's when, again, like I said, I write when I feel, and literally happened. I wrote this song 3 hours in 3 hours, and I wrote it after writing my mom passed, and we had to make the decision. I'm the oldest of my siblings, and she's single, and so a lot of decisions fell on me. And I had to make the decision to basically end my mother's life because of her health conditions, which was, I don't wish that upon anybody. So I literally sat in this room in my little work studio here, and I wrote this song called Sail On, because it's the only thing I could think of that was coming to my head, because my mom loved cruising. Cruising was her, she was a cruise diva. She loved to be on a boat. That was her happy place. So I literally sat in here and I kept just saying, sail on. And that was just kept coming to my head. So I wrote, in 3 hours, I wrote this song for her called Sail On, Twilight Song. I wrote it. I also created a line dance to go with it, because when you hear it, it's definitely like a stepping line dance song, because that's, again, who she was. She was a dancer, dancing her whole life. And I wrote that. I made a music video for it too. That was my first music video that I made, because I just wanted to do something in honor and tribute of her and to celebrate her life. I don't like to toot my own horn, but that music video toot was,
Of course.
yeah,
Definitely toot your own horn.
it's a beautiful piece of work dedicated to her. And you can see her exuberance in that music video, and you can see the connection and just how much joy she brought to everyone. What's really cool, in the music video, which I encourage everyone to go check it out, I ended with her voice speaking, talking about going on to sailing on, basically, and like she's going to go on, relax, and on this boat. And so it's with a voicemail our video that she had posted, and it's her voice ending the music video. So it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of art that I think that it's a good tribute to her.
Well, I look forward to hearing it. I am definitely going to go out there and look it up. 105.7 Phase says, drop us a track at 1057 music submission at gmail.com. So definitely make sure you drop that track so that they can get that song or whatever song you send out in rotation. Tell me a little bit about, we'll shift gears just a little about acting. And
Mm.
so let's talk about the stage shows Rent, Jesus Christ Superstar, and Showboat. Which one of those did you enjoy the most? And then let's talk about the acting career.
Yeah. So musical theater has been my life since I was in high school. And coming here tomorrow, my high school choir teacher, who's one of my best friends now, when I was a freshman in high school, he was like, "You should do the school musical." I was like, "Nah." It's like, "No, no, no, really, you should do it." Nah. I fought him tooth and nail for a good 2 or 3 months before I said yes. And I did it. And the first time I stepped on stage, acting and singing and dancing, I was hooked. I was like, it's one of those aha moments that you have in life. You're like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. And so I've been doing musical theater since then. I was 14, which is late because a lot of people start young. I started later than some people did, but I've luckily been lucky enough to have a lot of success doing it. So out of those, I mean, those three shows, Rent, Jesus Christ Superstar, and Showboat, I did all three of those in the UK when I lived in London.
Okay.
Two of those were on the West End. One of them was a national tour. The biggest profile one was probably Rent because that was like the 20th anniversary of that iconic musical, that Seasons of Love, everyone's heard 8,000 times. But Jesus Christ Superstar was probably my most fun show because that show, I don't call myself a dancer, but that show, everyone that show dances from start to finish. I've never looked more snatched than I did in that.
That is funny.
I was in the best shape of my life doing that show, and I normally don't like dancing in shows, but I always end up dancing. I had the most fun doing that show, and it was just like I had glitter everywhere. I had to take 3 showers in the course of the show because there was just so much glitter and sweat, and it was crazy. It was so much fun.
So how can we? Is there a way for us? I know they were stage shows, but are they recorded? Is there a way we can find it anywhere that we can show or see it?
Funny you should say that. In terms of actually seeing performances, no.
Okay.
But with the Rent one, because it was such a big, iconic and anniversary production, we actually recorded a cast album that hopefully we're fingers crossed, we're working on legalities of it, trying to get it out as soon as possible. But we recorded at Abbey Road Studios, which is the same place the Beatles recorded all of their music. And so for 2 weeks, I got to record in that studio and record this cast album with the rest of the cast. So I'm hoping that comes out sometime soon because it was a great album. It was a great cast for that show.
Well, wonderful. Keep us updated because I would love to see. Have you did in any of these three? Were you able to do any singing?
Oh yeah, I mean they're musicals, so I used.
So each of the musicals, you were part of not just dancing but singing as well.
Yeah, we
got it. Got it. Got it. I'm thinking just totally acting. So yeah, they are musicals. So that would make sense.
Yeah, they were all those shows are big, heavy sings, and Rent was I did the most because I was one of the lead characters in the show. Rent,
Okay.
I got to be an antagonist for once, which is nice. I never get to be an antagonist, a villain in the show, which is nice. I embrace my evilness. But yeah, all those shows like heavy sings and iconic musicals. Think about Jesus Christ Superstar. I got to work with Andrew Lloyd Webber. Got to meet him.
Oh
And
wow.
Tim Rice, who are iconic for writing things from all of Disney stuff and everything. So it was just amazing. It was an amazing experience.
With Tyler Perry doing a lot of musicals, have you ever tried to do any casting for any of those musicals?
Listen, I'm available for whatever comes my way. So yeah, I audition for anything and everything. So I'm open to the right projects and opportunities. I'm blessed enough to be big enough in my career where I can like say no to certain things when I don't want to do them if they're not the right fit. Because I do want things to be a right fit. I don't just do everything that is on my way because it might not be beneficial. But I've been blessed enough to have a career where I can say, yeah, no, that's not the right project for me right now. Or, yeah, absolutely, let's do it.
I love that, the right fit.
You have
because you want things to be that you're not grasping for parts or roles to get your name out there. Because some people, unfortunately, that's what they do. Um, and then it starts their career off with people looking at them in a certain light, although we know it's acting, then that's what people expect from that actor going forward.
Yeah.
But it's great that you're in a position that you're able to look at roles and say, okay, this may or may not be a good fit for me. And I think when roles, and this is just me, and I would like for you to elaborate. When roles are a good fit, people can really dive into that role and really bring it to life, as opposed to taking on a role that they have to really try to act out and portray. It's easier when it's a good fit. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, but I think it's such a big life lesson in general. Just like acting is such a dichotomy of like the world itself and life, because some people don't know how to say no to certain things, and being okay with saying no with certain things. Like I had to really learn. Like early on, I was like, it's okay for me to say no. If it's going to interfere with my family or me going to be able to see a wedding or go see a family event or family reunion, and a job's going to get in the way, I have to be okay with saying no, not for right at this point. This is God saying that it's not for me right now, or if it's not the right fit for me. Like sometimes there's things like I'm a nice person, and I try to be. Now people might have other opinions about that, but I try to be. I try to be. But like the Brent character, Benny, he was he was not he was an antagonist. He was a villain in that show, which is not opposite of who I am. So I had to find my connection with that character to be able to say, actually, no, he's not a mean person. He's just doing what he thinks is right for him and his people. So he's looking, so he has a different world. So it's just like you can be able to like look at it and say like, oh yeah, no, this character is just I do it from this angle,
Right.
but it's not the right fit. Now, when if I say no to a role, it's not the right fit. It's something that's so far removed from who I am, or against who I am as a person, or not how I want to be portrayed, professionally. Then that's when I was like, you know what? No, this is not an opportunity. This is for somebody else. This is not for me at this point, and I'm okay
No,
with that.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, and I'm okay with that when that happens.
So I always wonder at times, do actresses, um, discuss roles with their partner if they have a significant other? Is that part of what you do? Do you have those type of discussions to say, hey, what are your thoughts on this particular role?
It depends. If it involves like nudity, sex, which some of the TV and film stuff that I've had to do has involved that. I do make it a point to say, hey, just so you know, this role involves X, Y, Z. How do you feel about it? And luckily, like I said, I've been with my husband now for over 10 years. It will be 10 years in September. But so like we have like communication. Like I know what he'll accept and what he won't accept, and like and vice versa. But so like that conversation is a lot shorter than it used to be. Uh, but
I'm sure.
at the same time too, like I know my standards, and I know, and I have to, and like a lot of times I base upon I'll read a script, and I see there's a purpose for sex, nudity, or whatever it might be, certain cussing, certain language, or whatever. If there's a purpose for it, and it's for the character, then I'll say yeah, sure. Like it
do, do you think that with acting and in the space of having to tap into that sexual aspect or side of a role, that it's difficult? Is it uncomfortable um, when you're having to act out that particular part of a scene or a role?
it's oh yeah, ooh, that's a good question. Sometimes it's easier than others.
Uh-huh.
Like somebody being like,
So you broke up just a little.
oh,
Can you repeat it for me?
yeah. No, it's easier if like that. Sometimes it's easier if that person's like you're attracted to that person. The person's good looking. Like it's, it's not as hard to act that out sometimes, but there is a lot of dialogue and a lot of conversation that goes on before the scene. Like me personally, I can't speak for anyone else, but I was like, okay, what are we doing? It's very choreographed. I was like, okay, we're going to do this first, into this, into this. It's just never just like a very impromptu improv thing. Like, no, that has to be like, I need to know what's going on first before we do anything. Um, and that way I can feel it. And then I can, as an actor, then I can start piecing my mind around all the moves. Like, okay, why am I doing this? Why, like, what is going on here? Like, okay, this is what's happening at this point, and I can kind of map it out in my head. So there's definitely a lot of planning that goes on into it.
What has been the biggest challenge for both? One, we'll go with music, your music career, and then we'll talk about acting. What has been the biggest challenge for you in your music career?
That's a really tough one. The biggest challenge, very writing the music. The music's been the easiest part for me. Writing the songs, you know, I think the hardest part has been like trying to make sure that I'm connecting with people. Like I want to write stuff that's true to who I am, but also like if nobody listens to it, then that I'm writing stuff that people can connect to, that it's true to who I am. And I think if I write good music, I think people will come, and people are starting to come to around to my music and really like, it's like, oh yeah, I really love that last one. Like I want to hear more of that. So it informs me, but like it's a journey, and I'm willing to put in the work and time and the effort and energy because I know what I have and what I have to offer, and I know that it is good work. And I know it just takes time. I don't expect it to happen overnight.
Do you think the industry is has there been impacts in the industry that you have had to overcome? Any challenges there that you've had to overcome?
I think one of the speaking of those overcoming is just that being a gay artist in the R&B world, especially, and like in the R&B pop, hip hop pop world, is tough because I think that's relatively uncharted territory because we really haven't had people who have been willing to step up and say, yeah, this is who I am, and I'm going to be in this genre. Um, Easier probably in the pop world, but R&B and soul and like you just don't have that much anymore. You can only have like a handful of people within the past decade who's really said, this is my identity, and I'm writing in this genre, and I'm going to be and live in this world. And I've only within the past couple of years I've really kind of embraced that for myself. So I'm still discovering, which is great. It's a great opportunity for me to learn and grow with my music and be able to find out my voice in this genre and where do I fit. And I'm still finding it out. So that is part of the challenge as well too. But I like puzzles. I'm a puzzle person. And to me, it's just a big puzzle and figure out.
Absolutely. I love that. What about acting? Have and the musicals? Um, what has been your biggest challenge there?
Where did it begin? Oh, Lord. No, well, I mean, my career, I've been on stage professionally since I was 17 years old. That's when I started professionally acting. And I'm not 17 anymore, so I'm a little bit older. But part of it was, one, I started later than a lot of people did. Like, a lot of people that I work with, a lot of my colleagues, they started when they were 6 and 7 and 5 years old with dance classes. I was playing football and baseball and doing church stuff. I wasn't doing theater or anything like that. So that's part of the challenge I've had to overcome. Part is like I've lived in a lot of different places, and when you're moving constantly, you're constantly restarting and rebuilding a new network. So even here in Atlanta, like I feel like I'm just surface Atlanta because I've only been here a couple of years. I had 5 years in London to be able to get to where I was. I had 8 years in New York to be able to build up, and that massive market to be able to get to where I was in terms of any type of notoriety, which was not a whole lot, but I was within the industry. I was getting known. So that is hard when you're constantly moving. So hopefully Atlanta, I'm putting down some roots here. This is where I want to be for a long time. And I'm already starting to conquer some of those. I'll break down some of those walls that have been holding me back. So within TV and film and stage. So, and music's next.
Understood. Great. And so what, and I'm just going to tag a couple of people.
Yeah.
Um, So, guys, if you would tag and share for me, please. Actually, I want to talk about the reverse of that. What's been your easiest success? What's been really easy success for you?
I don't think, I mean, there's really no such thing as easy success, but
So, because it
sure.
just comes, if it comes, it comes, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the biggest thing that's kind of got my career a little bit off the launching pad is London. When I because when I left New York in 2014, I just finished grad school, got my master's in music education. I taught in New York City public schools for a year, which that's a whole another world within itself. But when I moved to London, I didn't know what to expect. And being an American in London, they're very particular about letting outsiders into their industry. If you're not British, they don't. It's really hard for Americans to break into the British world of theater and stage and performing. So I didn't know how I was going to go, and but once I got Showboat, which was my first West End show, after that, everything just kind of snowballed. I didn't stop working for about 2.5 years straight. I literally was going from project to project to project. So yeah, yes, that was so. I think that's the easiest part of my career was once you get one thing, it just
Okay.
kind of rolled on.
Do you think that, like you just mentioned about success, once a person puts themselves out there with their music, the expectation from your audience or people that are following you is for it to be better than the very first time? That, say, for instance, yes or no, if that was, and I'm just throwing that one out there, a lot of people gravitated to yes or no. Do you, is it that you in your mind say, I have to be better the next time than yes or no? My next song has to be greater or better than yes or no.
No, because the only person I'm really in competition with is myself, and to write good music and write good songs. Yes or No is a little different. My first albums that I released, VB Chronicles Part 1 and 2, those were my basically stories of the songs from my time during the pandemic when I was literally going stir crazy. And I was having a little bit of midlife crisis at whatever age that was.
17, of course.
Of course, it was. Because I'm only 20 now. Um, no, but like BB Chronicles, all those songs were fresh, and I was writing them, experiencing them in the moment. Yes or No is like one of those songs I'm revisiting as an older person because I wrote that a while ago. And I don't know why I've been in lately in this mood of just kind of revisiting songs that have been there, but I've never released, and I know that they're good songs, and pulling them out. Like I'm working on one now called Abandon. I wrote for a Canadian singer. I songwrite for other artists as well too, and I wrote for this Canadian rock singer who was trying to cross over into the American world, and once we wrote it, he sung it. Problem was he's French Canadian, so certain vowels and letters are hard for him, and so it just wasn't a good fit for him. But I was like, this still is a good song. So here I am now. I'm revisiting that song. I was like, this is still a relevant song, and if I can pull those songs out, I'm like, if it's still a good song and it still resonates with me, I think it'll still resonate with other people as well too. I'm still willing to put it out.
Because in my mind, I'm always thinking that people are trying to, their next song to be better than the song before. But I guess, as you mentioned, if people are going to resonate with it, and then they're always following the artist, typically, because I'll hear songs and I'm like, okay, the song before was amazing. And then I'm always looking for the next song to be flaming. And so if the next song does it, I'm like, dang, my expectation was XYZ. That's why I asked
But
that question.
also, I think too, people, I'm like, you know, there's just some songs that are gonna like there's some songs on a couple on my albums. I'm like, why are people gravitating towards that one? That was like one of my least favorite songs, but people that's the one.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
yeah.
explain it. I don't try to because if I try to, I'll never figure it out. But like I just try to again like I try to make songs that are more truthful, not actually better than the last song, but just honest about who I am, and because song is a song. You'll still, I mean, there's songs from 20 years ago that obviously we all listen
That's
to. And
right.
we're like, we
I
still
agree.
rock the song today.
That's right.
So, you know, if it's a song is good, it's going to be good, no matter when it's released or how old it is. Um, so I just try to be, as long as you're honest with your music and who you are, and that it identifies it, and you're not trying to be something you're not, then I think it's good music.
Right. Collaboration, because we talked about who you would open up for,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be the same.
Yeah.
And it may be somebody different. Who would you like to collaborate with?
Honestly, I mean, because musically I'm kind of all over the place eclectically. Um, I grew up when I was in elementary school. Growing up when I was little, I went to school at a private school, Catholic school. I was one of 3 black kids in the school, me and my 2 brothers. And all those kids listened to like country music and like rock music, and so I heard a lot of that growing up. At home we listen to R&B, soul, and gospel. So I mean, so there's so many different artists. Like I feel like I could write across a lot of different genres and work with. That's also why I do resonate with John Legend, because he does the same thing too.
Right.
You know, I speak Spanish almost fluently. He works with a lot of Latin artists, and he doesn't speak Spanish, but he crosses over into that genre as well too. That's what I mean. I feel like, again, music is a universal language. It doesn't matter the genre, the language. People can connect to it. So I'll work with anybody.
Writing music. When you write songs, do you have people in mind that you say, "Hey, well, this would be great for this person"?
I did early on when I first like really started getting serious songwriting when I lived in New York, and I really started writing for other people. Um, Again, I'm a puzzle person. I like the challenge of getting into somebody else's mind, and they'll tell me what they're looking for, and I try to translate that into music. Um, so it's fun for me to like try to figure out what they're intending and how I can make that even better, elevate that.
Wonderful. Um, Thank you, Eastlake. I appreciate that. But if you guys have any questions for the um, artist that's here today, definitely drop them in there. So that for people that weren't on here earlier, Javar Parker, Javar, I will let you share yet
Yeah,
again where they can find your music and tell them a little bit about the songs that you have out right
please, yeah, of course. Right now, well, my newest single right now, Yes or No, is out. It's on any music streaming platform, Spotify, uh, YouTube. There's a music video out on YouTube and Vivo Music. But Javar Parker, Javar, last name Parker. You can find me on any of the music streaming platforms. Please go check it out. Yes or No is great throwback, early 2000s R&B jam. Um, yeah, so please send me some questions. I like
now.
questions.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions for him, please drop it in the chat and we will get it answered. So can we get, are you okay with giving us a little of the
Yeah,
song?
of
Okay,
course.
so I'm going to make a little disclaimer because sometimes some of these platforms are super crazy.
Yeah,
He do have the rights to this music. So please do not cut us off because he has the right to this music. They are his original songs. Let's hear it.
sure. We'll do a little bit. Yeah. Sure. Actually, let's reset that. Make sure I do this right for you. Well, it's coming. Mm, there we go. I'm a person who will love you with all honesty. You will never have to question my loyalty. Wanna give you all the world. Fancy things, diamond rings, make you feel like you're my queen. But I know you can see how he's playing you and what it does to me. 'Cause I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't breathe anymore. 'Cause I need you beside me to guide me, to take my pain away. I worth the cry, the lonely nights, the sad goodbyes? I just don't know. But I know that my heart can't take much more. It's a yes or no. It's a yes or no. Have you noticed how, when you're all alone, when you call him up, he don't pick up the phone? Can't you see that he's moved on? He be creeping while you weeping. It's time to let him go. But I know you can see he ain't the one for you, and I know what we can be. But I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't breathe anymore. 'Cause I need you beside me to guide me, to take my pain away. Are you worth the cry, the lonely nights, the sad goodbyes? I just don't know. But I know that my heart can't take much more. Is it yes or no? Or are you holding on to this memory that I'm opening up?
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. I love it. I had the opportunity to listen to it, so I really enjoyed it. Guys, so y'all make sure y'all go out there and download Yes or No from Javar Parker. It is an amazing song. Um, East Lake 2253 says, "Do you sing all kinds of music, especially R&B? Like what do you classify? I know you say you write for all genres. Like, how do you classify your music?"
Music for myself, personally, I probably put myself more in the R&B
Okay.
soul
Okay.
lane.
Okay.
But like I said, like I'm also some of the songs you'll hear on some of my, they'll cross over to a little bit more gospel, a little bit more rock. But what definitely, but always has that R&B soul underlying, and pretty much all the time. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so, since he said R&B question mark, that's kind of why I wanted to ask that piece of it. I had one question that, oh my God, it was in my mind that I wanted to ask you, and it's like it went out the window when
Come
you
back.
start, like when you started singing. I was like, dang, now I went all over the place and forgot the question. I would listen to your music on YouTube. So he's saying, and definitely, it's like you can find it on YouTube. And so, YouTube, Spotify, any any other place besides YouTube and Spotify that they can find your music?
Apple Music, pretty much honestly any streaming platform. It is all my music is there. I'm just putting my name in the stream there. That way you can see it there. Yeah, it's on any music streaming platform. Please, I appreciate it. I like one person at a time. I'm conquering the world.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So, with your music, um, what would, and that's what I was going to ask, and start, because you're right, it would come back. Your music and acting. If you had to give advice to a person that was starting out with their music career, what would you advise? What would be the advice that you would provide for either music and or acting?
I mean, honestly, the biggest piece of advice that I've learned over the course of my 20 plus year career of acting and music is you all got to be willing to learn. You got to be willing to constantly learn, study. A, the 1.1, I mean, the 0.111% or whatever, who's naturally has this, the gift. There's very few people like Whitney Houston or people like that, but like you have to study, you have to be willing to learn and understand the genres that you want to live in. And in terms of like, especially the same thing with acting, I coach other actors now, the coaching service where I'll coach actors on auditionings, different auditions. And I tell them all the time, like, you literally have to be willing to learn and study and never stop. Even once you graduate school or whatever program or conservatory or whatever you go to, you have to be willing to keep going to class, talking to people, because that's only you can get ahead in the industries.
Are you are independent artist?
I Musically, I'm an artist, yes. Acting wise, I do have an
Okay.
agent, and
Okay.
yeah.
Would you rather be signed, or is this best for you as an independent artist as it relates to your music?
I think musically, I'm enjoying being independent right now. I like the freedom to do and what I want and cross. Like I said, like the song I'm working on, Abandon, is more rock pop music, a rock pop song single that I'm working on right now. I like being able to do that because I can, and not have being told, no, this is your genre, this is who you are, and this is what you need to be putting out right now for this moment. Now, is it the best way? I don't know, but I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying finding out.
Have you Do you think it's been more fruitful and successful for you based on
Um,
that?
TBD. I don't know. Like I said, like I after so once I moved back to the States from London in 2020, uh, everything was shut down, and I kind of went through this crisis. Okay, now who am I? That nothing's going on right now. Like, who am I as a person? So I had to rediscover myself again, because for the 10 years before that, it was all about acting and being on stage and being on film and TV and film, and I didn't have the space to really delve into the music side of things as much as I wanted to and as deeply as I wanted to. But that the pandemic was the best thing for me, because it allowed me the time, freedom, to be able to be like, okay, let me see what happens with this. So I'm still, like I said, I'm enjoying the process. I'm making mistakes along the way, I'm sure, but I'm learning and growing and find out what works and what doesn't work, and talking to people and constantly learning one of the best ways to do things. But I'm enjoying it. I love it, and I like being independent right now. And when I'm ready, and if the time does come and it makes sense, sure, I'll sign to somebody if they want me. But I'm happy to put out what I want to
Like
do.
you are.
Yeah.
Right, right, right. I hear that a lot. A lot of times the artists are really in a good space of being able to dictate what they can do, what they can put out, and the way that they're moving. Any upcoming um, concerts, events, anything of that magnitude that we should know about, that we could be looking out for and support you
No,
on?
absolutely. So I'm always working on music. So I'm working on some new music now. But acting wise, again, one of those big discoveries is, so another idol of mine is Wayne Brady, uh, and because he does all the stuff that I want to do, singing, acting, dancing, comedy. So comedy is something I've been kind of acting wise I've been getting into lately. Here in Atlanta, there's a theater called Dad's Garage Improv Theater, which is a very famous, one of the best improv theaters in the country, quite honestly. Um, and I work with a team there called Understudied. It's where we basically improv a musical from start to finish, so odd minutes. So I am a musician and an actor performer in that. So we improv the whole scenes, the songs, the music, everything. So we have a show this Friday, and we do
Okay.
at 10 p.m. at Dad's Garage. But we do that every second Friday of every month. It'll be 10 p.m. at Dad's Garage. So please come check us out. We're a relatively new group, but we've had a lot of great success. It's been growing so far, and people are loving it. And coming here, if you want a good time, just laugh, and something that's not about politics or something. You just want to have a good time and be able to laugh. Come check us out.
So how did you get into that? What inspired you to go in that direction?
Well, I've always loved improv. Like I said, Wayne Brady was like, he's one of my big inspirations as well too. But when I got involved with Dad's Garage, so because I'm music director as well too, part of that so I music direct shows, and they called me out of the blue based on a recommendation from somebody else. This is where you like being good with other people, and
Networking, people know your name.
now, but they called me. They're like, "Well, we have this musical we're trying to put on. We need a music director. Would you be willing to do it?" I was like, "Well, do you want to see my resume, or I could send some stuff over?" They're like, "No, we trust you." And it was a success. The run was fantastic. The show got really great reviews. And so from then, they were trying to find ways to keep me involved in Dad's Garage. And this is something that they've been wanting to do this for a while, the two people that created the group. And they're like, "You're perfect for what we're trying to build here." And they brought me aboard. So I'm happy to be doing it.
So Dad's Garage
Mm-hmm.
at 10.
And on this Friday, July 14th at 10 p.m. every Friday at Dad's Garage. Understudy, the improv, the unrehearsed Broadway musical.
Okay, so we'll get out there and definitely see it. Definitely want to just make sure we go back and reiterate who you are,
Yeah.
your music,
Yeah.
where they can find it, and tell us about this yes or no.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much for having me. And
Thank
Javar Parker, I'm actor, singer, songwriter.
You're going out.
Oh, how's that?
Okay.
Yeah. Javar Parker. I'm an actor, singer, songwriter based here in Atlanta, Georgia. You can find me on all streaming platforms, music streaming platforms at Javar Parker. Uh, Music videos also available on Vivo Music and YouTube. So please check it out. Did everyone go check it out? Nice. Thank you. I see. There you go. There's a ringing endorsement.
Absolutely, absolutely love it. I love that he's like, thank you for that pitch. Thank you for definitely always supporting the Mental Talks and the guests that I bring on. Guys, make sure that before. I want them to know what inspired, yes or no. Guys, because it resonates with everybody. So make sure you
Oh,
definitely go out there and listen to it and also like the song while you're there. But let's talk about touch on a little bit about what inspired that song again for those that wasn't on here.
yeah, no, yes or no. So again, yes or no came out of uh, I was in a situation where somebody was just kind of like pulling me along, leading me on, giving signs, hey, something's going on, but then they would back off. And so it was just out of that frustration that I was just like, I got to the point I was like, is it yes or no? Like, what are we doing here? Is it yes or no? So basically the song is kind of an ultimatum to that person, which I know people have been out there, like, some people have been playing games with you. And they've been trying to like have it both ways and trying to see other people and trying to like say like, no, no, no. And you just like, listen, is it yes, no? What are we doing?
Absolutely. I love it. And I love the song too. I had definitely had the opportunity to listen to it. And so I was like, this is amazing. This is awesome. I loved it. And so, guys, definitely go out there and check it out. Prior to us closing out, is there anything else that you would like to add that I may not have asked about? Share whatever you would like prior to us closing.
Oh, no. And like I said, I appreciate. Please go honestly listen to the music. I guarantee if you listen to any one of my albums or singles that I have out, there is something there that you will connect with or that will resonate with you. There's rarely have I had anyone tell me that it's like, no, I don't understand that song. There's something there for you. I guarantee it. Just give it a chance. Go listen to it. I appreciate the love and support. Everyone who's already listened to the songs. Some of my songs have over 25, 30,000, 40,000, streams. So I don't take that for granted. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But I want more people to listen to it. Keep listening. Keep going.
That's right. That's right. What's on your playlist right now? If I was to hit that playlist right now, what would I get? What would come on?
Any songs. Of my
Say it
songs,
again for me.
any of my songs or any songs.
No, any song. Better yet, I'm gonna go back. If I was to get in your car, what's gonna be on the playlist?
Oh God. I'm such an eclectic person because I draw a lot of different. So you'll hear some Broadway stuff. You'll hear. I love Latin music because, like I said, I speak Spanish. I like the Latin culture and music. I pull from that into my music from time to time. A lot of R&B, a lot of soul, a lot of good R&B music out right now. That I'm like this is a really good. I feel like R&B kind of went through a little dip for a little bit. I think it's starting to really another really great artist and like some really good music I can hear coming back for long times now. So,
Well,
yeah.
I like the diversified playlist. I love a diversified playlist, and so that's great to hear. But yeah, I want to thank you for being patient with the Mental Talks and us getting this date together for us to interview. But more importantly, I have really enjoyed this interview because I always like to hear the diversity um, in the interview, and what is the unknown, what's the expected, what's the unexpected that people tend to think that they're going to get from the artist. But just to be able to know that there is diversity in what we bring to Amanda Miller Talks, and for people to be able to get a diversified view from those people that we bring on as well. And so definitely know that anytime that you have a new project out, I would love to have you back so that we can speak to it and let people know what you got going on. As Eastlake says, I want to say, keep going, Javar. Great job. Absolutely. I second that motion. Um, he says, I can play all types of music on the drum set. I have an ear. Well, great, 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 great. And so I always say there's a lot of amazing people out there if you want to become one. But I always ask my guests, what would be a positive thing of motivation that you would give to the world?
What? Sorry.
What would be something positive that you would give to the world? What would be a positive saying that you would, that, or at least something that you live by?
I One is life goes on. No matter what happens, just keep going. And two, you learn things to teach things. So when,
You kind of went out on
yeah,
me. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Can you
The
say
second,
it again for me?
yeah. So one is life goes on. Keep moving. Always keep moving, and you learn things to teach things. Like you don't forget you're always learning things. There's somebody else is going to benefit from them. So
Absolutely. And always remember, I love that iron do sharpen iron. So, guys, make sure that we are always supporting each other. I want to say thank you. Guys, make sure you go out there and follow Javar Parker. Definitely lots of music, but check out the Yes and No video as well as everything else that he has coming up. I want to thank you yet again for allowing Amanda Miller Talks to be part of your journey. Guys, y'all have an amazing week. Thank you.
bye.